This video is going to be a film study look at Jack Campbell's performance in the Lions' 33-28 win over the Saints Sunday afternoon. He got extensive action in terms of the number of snaps he played in the absence of Alex Anzalone. Jalen Reaves-Maybin also got a number of snaps, which was cool, and I'd like to take a look at some of his plays as well in a separate video. But Campbell had 9 tackles, 4 solos, 2 big tackles for loss in the first half on run stops. I thought he played excellent against the run, particularly early. This video will really focus on the first 2.5 quarters, I believe, where he had the most impact. I had Campbell for 5 tackles at halftime. Additionally, there'll be at least one play where I talk about his awareness in zone coverage, which I think has been there. It's been obvious all year long for the most part. And how physical he is against the run. How many players he's willing and able to make contact with throughout the course of at least one run play I'll show you, and still get to the football. We used to talk about that often with our inside linebackers, and with trying to grade them was some guys, if they make contact with 2 opposing players, 2 blockers, maybe guys assigned to block them or just sudden contact that's somewhat random during the course of the play, there's certain guys who can't get to the football. Jack Campbell appears to be able to get to the football whether he makes contact with 2, 3, or even 4 offensive players at certain times. I'll try to illustrate that with at least one play. We're actually going to begin this film study with the first defensive snap of the game, first possession. Campbell is on the field along with Rodriguez and Barnes. So a 4-3 look, if you will, from the Lions. Of course, there's no pressure on Carr. Nonetheless, the pass slips off of Johnson, the tight end's hands. One thing to talk about with Campbell here is he covers a lot of ground. Now, most people often think about covering ground for an inside linebacker, covering ground to the sideline, maybe making a tackle outside the bottom of the numbers. And he's done that at times this year. I'm talking about the ground that he covers forward and then moving backward to try to get underneath of any deeper routes. And he's got a great awareness that normally there's going to be a dig route, underneath or behind him developing. He's just trying to get in windows. So he gets back to the 10-yard marker, the line to gain, which in this case is the 35. I'm talking about the ground that he covered vertically and then laterally behind him. And then as Johnson breaks loose on the delayed route underneath, I mean, even if he catches the football, Jack Campbell's going to be there to tackle him for a 3 or 4 yard gain. Thankfully, Carr is not able to see the post developing from the number 2 route at the top side of the field, because as the Lions rotate their coverage, Branch spinning down, Joseph from the boundary dropping back to middle of the field. Jerry Jacobs has no work at all from these 2 tight ends. I think Foster Moreau and Johnson. Johnson's going to be the guy who releases underneath and the pass tips off of him. This is the route I'm talking about from the opposite side of the field. Basically clears over the top of Jerry Jacobs. This is not a situation like against Carolina and Bryce Young where Jerry Jacobs is baiting the quarterback to throw it there. This is wide open, and thankfully Carr is not able to get there in terms of the progression. Fortunately for the Lions, ends up being a turnover and another score, I should say, for the Lions offense. But nonetheless, Jack Campbell covers a lot of ground, even though that ground isn't horizontal all the time. All right, so second possession, instant read, just instant. And I'll give you the end zone angle for this one as well. Nickel personnel. It appears to Josh Pascal played quite well, I thought. I don't know how he grades or what have you, but this looks like to me they've got the nickel to their side, meaning Campbell and Pascal have the nickel to their side, and some type of a call occurred to stunt Pascal inside so that Campbell could loop around, because they've got this additional player here, Branch, as a bonus player, if you will, against the run to that side. Additionally, I want to point out there's some real violence going on here from a defensive standpoint for the Lions. I'm talking about Hutchinson ripping underneath of the tight end, Foster Moreau, Branch, and I think this is 18, a big receiver for the Saints, getting involved in some little back and forth, and then Campbell getting down into the line of scrimmage to make a tackle for loss, along with Hutchinson. And there's some real violence here. Let me get to the end zone angle, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. I'm talking about the physical contact that the physical force that the Lions defense played with early on was noticeable, and Jack Campbell played a big role. I thought Hutchinson, even though he didn't get a sack in this game, I think had 1 quarterback hit, played with a lot of force, played downhill. You can see the nature of the stunt. Pascal has stunted inside the B gap. Campbell on the read is able to go outside of that tackle, the left tackle's block, fold down inside. Him and Hutchinson sandwich the back Jamal Williams, tackle for loss on the second possession. Really nice job early in the game of bringing the Thunder. This is Campbell at outside linebacker on the third possession. Not a real big fan of him playing here necessarily in terms of production, but I believe he's just tasked with jamming the tight end up. It is a great job, I would say, all the way around with the coverage by Sutton. I think this is Jalen Reaves-Maybin dealing with the tight end now. Man here by Branch. Man here by Jacobs, the corner. Dropping Tracy Walker down to help out in the middle of the field. Carr's pass. It's a great break on the ball. Or great play, I should say, pass defense by Sutton, who's just an underrated football player, and he'll make a tackle for loss a little bit later in the game that I'll show you. It's a target for A.T. Perry. Tracy Walker III, who had dropped down to play in the middle of the field, is also there. Interesting choice that Carr took to throw the football there. He's got Olave against Jacobs down at the bottom side of the field. It's basically man-free with Kirby Joseph, sky into the middle of the field. But you got outside leverage corner here, outside leverage corner here. So they're trying to sandwich or funnel the receivers into that free safety and the low hole dropper, Tracy Walker. Like I said, it's 3rd and 11, so he's pretty much at the sticks or just beyond it. I don't think Campbell is super productive in that role from a statistical standpoint. It appears to me as if most of the time when he's there, he's being asked to jam up the tight end. All right, so third possession here. I think that one was actually second possession. I misspoke. Third possession here. It's going to be another run play. It's a 2nd and 3. Hutchinson's going to rip inside, and basically you get a gap exchange. I just love the angle from Campbell. You get motion that pulls these guys, pulls Barnes and Campbell in this direction and widens up. I think that's Kirby Joseph. And then the angle from Campbell is just, I'll show you the end zone angle for this one so you can see it as well. Committed, decisive, another tackle for loss along with Hutchinson, and Branch is there as well. This is a great job all the way around. I think Jack Campbell is spectacular against the run. Like, not just good and very good. He is the best inside linebacker on the Lions team at coming downhill against the run and on play, combination of these two statements, and being able to flip his hips and turn and get back in the pass drops correctly. Although I did think he took one poor drop, less than spectacular drop against the Saints. The angles he plays at, the commitment he's got. Hutchinson didn't get a lot of statistical designation necessarily in this game, but you can see the effort that he's bringing and the ability to get to the football early in the game. Again, that was a second and 3 on the third possession as the Lions jump out to a 21-0 lead. Fourth possession. Campbell's actually not on the field here, but I feel like I have to mention Josh Pascal. I thought he played with a lot more speed and decisiveness. So 1st and 10 on the fourth possession. He's going down the line of scrimmage. It's a 1-yard gain for Alvin Kamara. Branch and Pascal are on the stunt. So Branch is theoretically going to take over quarterback if there's a boot. Pascal is running down the line of scrimmage to make the play on Kamara, which he does. Theoretically, if Carr keeps it and boots out here, Branch is the guy who is responsible for him. Simultaneous to that, the motion man running out into the flats. Barnes is basically gap exchanging it with Pascal to take that guy over. Great effort play by Pascal. Great effort by Brian Branch as well, who doesn't get a statistical designation there for the tackle, even though he's involved in disrupting the play. Reason why I mention that is because I feel like Pascal played very well. Doesn't get a lot of credit for it, number one. Number two, you'll see another example of him gap exchanging things. All right, this is a second quarter. You got Taysom Hill in at quarterback. First of all, Hutchinson does a great job with the right tackle here. 94. I think Jones also plays this quite well. Campbell gets involved in the tackle. It's a 1-yard loss. And this is the one that I'm talking about with the number of people he makes contact with. Now, there'll be some things said possibly in the comments section about him compared to Rodriguez on this play because of how downhill Campbell is on this versus Rodriguez. I suspect that they're switching this, meaning on anything to the flow side, Campbell's going to hit it hard to kind of force the quarterback, running back, Taysom Hill, to cut it back. And maybe if I'm not doing a good job explaining that, you'll see it on the very next play that I show you. One more time from the All-22 so you can see the downhill nature that Campbell has and the number of people that he contacts on this play for the other team. I believe it's 3. It might be 4. He pretty much knocks Jones into the center. Maybe he gets his right hand on the center, maybe not. Definitely touches the right guard, the lead blocker, the fullback, and then chest to chest or shoulder to chest on Taysom Hill, who is a load to try to tackle. 94 is there as well. Campbell, I think, is the guy who gets credit for the tackle, even though multiple players are involved. End zone angle, what I'm talking about is I suspect that they're trying to run something like this on flow to that side. So if there's a cutback, then Rodriguez would fit it on the backside. You may not agree with me, and that's fine, but on the very next play that I show you, that's exactly what those two do. We would just call it a fast flow, meaning the backside guy go fast and exchange responsibilities. Campbell's so fired up. This is high effort, so much effort that he's running into his own player. He was great against the run, I thought, in the first half especially. Definitely a switch here on basically same possession later on, early second quarter. Taysom Hill at quarterback again. Definitely a switch here between these two, Campbell and Rodriguez. Rodriguez is the guy hitting it backside. So the front side of this action here is the tight end H-back here, potentially Taysom Hill keeping it out the same side, which he does, and Rodriguez folding going to the backside, which would allow Campbell to read it and exchange or switch it with him. We would call it fast flow. Some people have all kinds of different calls for it. But Campbell is basically the backside inside linebacker. Got to give credit to Cam Sutton here, too. Being the force player on this side, Aquara has stepped down to try to get hands on the H-back. Sutton stays outside. Him and Campbell in on the tackle for a 1-yard gain. You can see 2 tackles for loss in this half against the run. 2 tackles against Taysom Hill for a 1-yard gain. Here you see the nature of Rodriguez switching to that side. Campbell will fast flow as the backside guy when he sees Taysom Hill keep it. I like his leverage. He always seems to be on the correct leverage side. Meaning running back, quarterback / running back, Taysom Hill. He's on the backside hip because someone else's job to be the force player. You don't want to overrun it. Once that force player does his job, in this case Cam Sutton, then you can get involved in a tackle from inside out angle. He's excellent against the run. I just don't know any other way to put it. As a former inside linebacker coach, it's fun as hell to watch him defend the run, particularly on Sunday. Same possession, 2nd and 14. Carr is at quarterback now. It's going to be an underneath pass to Kamara. And you have Campbell and Jalen Reaves-Maybin, who I thought played a nice game at inside linebacker, particularly in pass situations. I was not a huge fan when Campbell was taken off the field in pass coverage. I did not think that Derek Barnes was playing exceptionally well against the pass, but you can see there's an example here of Kamara trying to juke him on a 2nd and 14 underneath route. A lot of space in there in the middle of the field. Campbell stays on his inside leverage. Again, understanding that there's going to be someone outside to force the ball inside, and the ball's on top of Kamara a little bit quicker than maybe he thought. But it's a 5-yard gain on 2nd and 14 underneath. You'll take that. You guys let me know if you were as impressed with, first of all, Jalen Reaves-Maybin. He did make 3 special teams tackles. 3 in the first 3 quarters, I believe. If you were impressed with him, I didn't know that he could play that effectively on defense. Could he do that every week against every single type of team? I'm not sure. I know this, Jack Campbell can. When Alex Anzalone comes back, is Campbell going to play 53 or 54 snaps a game, whatever it was? Maybe not, but he should be playing 40 snaps a game. This is a guy who's already there. He doesn't need to improve on many things at all against the run, number one. Number two, in pass coverage, are they going to expect him to play the running back man very much? Well, no, they won't. If you have Anzalone in the game, that's Anzalone's job. I don't think it's a Jack Campbell or Alex Anzalone proposition. I think it's a Jack Campbell or Derek Barnes proposition. And for me, the ability to play against the run is drastically different from those two guys. You have a downhill fitter in Jack Campbell who also doesn't make mistakes. Wherever the running back fits, that's usually where Jack Campbell shows up. And it's been that way, I think, since pretty much week one. He had 9 tackles against the Bears, got juked one time by Justin Fields early in the game when the Lions were having trouble defending the zone read. Other than that, I haven't seen this guy look bad against the run at all. Against the pass, he doesn't have passes deflected, no. He doesn't have interceptions, and he doesn't have sacks. Well, they're not blitzing him a whole lot, number one. Number two, he's a guy who's great in zone coverage and understands leverage. For me, for my money, if I was involved in making the decisions, I want Jack Campbell on the field 40 to 45 times a game. I think Derek Barnes is a really good player. I like his game, and I like his intensity. If either one of them was going to be used as an outside linebacker like you saw on, I think, the second play I showed you, for me, I would utilize Derek Barnes there. I feel like he's better suited for it. He did that in college anyway. I thought he was a 4.3 Sam. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comment section. But let me know what you thought of Jack Campbell's play on Sunday. I thought it justified a lot of the hype around him playing against the run, number one. Number two, I thought in the limited reps that I showed you against the pass, I think 3 of them, I feel like he's always going to be in the right position and play with leverage properly. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study look at Jack Campbell and his extensive action in Sunday's win over the Saints, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.